Hello everyone, I am Dr. Sakti. Today I am here to discuss something about COVID-19. So I thought to share some of my knowledge for the awareness of the general people or general public during such pandemic crisis. So without any further delay, let's discuss something. So specially we will discuss today about how to decide that which laboratory test we need to do and which medicines or what are the medicine options we have if we are COVID-19 positive, and especially when we can consult a doctor and when or we can opt for hospitalization. So these are the very important discussions we will do today. So first of all, what are the different laboratory tests we have to know that whether a person is suffering from COVID-19 or not? So there are specially 6 types of tests. One very famous or the gold standard method, what we call is RT-PCR test. So what we do in this test, so we detect the viral nucleic acid or the viral genetic material, we amplify that and we detect it, which is a very gold standard method. So besides this, we have the antigen test where we detect the viral antigen, and there is another 4 test that we'll discuss today, that is starting with another WHO recommended smell test. Okay, there are a lot of people, they lost their smell, and which type of smell, so especially what type of test we can do. So this is also a recommended test which is called sniff test. There is in the second wave of COVID-19, so you must have come across these words like CT scan of the chest or chest x-ray. So these are the different imaging techniques what we used to follow in during this second wave of the corona time. So besides this, there is another test called the antibody test. So this is a very special test. We'll discuss about that. Here in this test, we'll come to know about what is our body's response towards the neutralizing the virus itself. And there is another old rather I can say that in early 20s we are using a test which is called breath test. This is not has been adopted in India, but this is also a test, and a lot of countries they have such type of test. So starting with the RT-PCR test. So in the RT-PCR test, first the sample collection. So we collect the sample from the nasopharyngeal region or the anterior nasal region. Okay, so this is we can collect the sample from either we can collect it from the upper respiratory tract or from the lower respiratory tract. So if we are collecting it from the upper, most of the time we collect it from the upper respiratory tract, which is recommended by CDC. And here, what are the methodology we use? What we collect the viral RNA, we extract the viral RNA, then we make it the complementary DNA, then we make the multiple copies of the viral RNA so that it can be detectable. So our most concern here is how we can analyze the results, how we can analyze the RT-PCR results. Okay, so there is in the RT-PCR results there is one thing which is called the cycle threshold or the CT value. What is CT value? So CT value is nothing but the number of cycles we need to amplify the viral RNA to a detectable amount. So you can, it's from the name you can indicate, it can be concluded that if the CT value is higher, if the CT value is more, then there is the virus load is less and there is less susceptibility of COVID-19. And if the CT value is less, then more susceptibility and virus load is more. So there is generally a cutoff range of the CT value. So that is, if the CT value is more than 35, we call it as a negative. But it also depends on the kit to kit, what are the different kit you are using for this. So here very important point to know in RT-PCR test is, this is, although it is a very highly sensitive test, there is very less chance to have a false negative result. But during the second wave of COVID-19, as our point of discussion here was this cycle threshold or the CT value. So it has been found by a lot of researchers, by a lot of doctors that the CT value of 8 may be non-serious, whereas a CT value of 32 may be serious. So in the second wave, so the things are little different. So normally, if we'll say about the RT-PCR results accuracy, then it is somewhat around 71% accuracy for giving a false negative results, or the accuracy is 71%, that to give a conclusion about that a person is suffering from COVID-19 or not. So besides this, the second test is the rapid antigen test. So this is a immunoassay technique. So immunoassay technique means it will detect the viral antigens. This is a test which is a point of care test. When you are going to a hospital, you are going to a clinic or anywhere, you can do this test in 15 minutes, you can get the result in 15 minutes. But this is a very less sensitive test, and there is a very important note here, that if the viral load is high, or I will rather say if it is highest, then both the rapid antigen test and RT-PCR test will come positive. Okay, so there is another note we have to keep in mind, that if the rapid antigen test result is negative, that is very questionable, that if the person is not suffering from COVID-19, or this is not a test which can exclude a person from COVID-19 positive. So this is a very questionable test. So as I told you that the sniff test, so this is a sudden loss of smell test. You can do this test at home also. You can take alcohol or ethanol water 25%. So if you are taking 25% of 25 ml of alcohol and make the volume up to 100 ml and smell it. If you could not smell, then there is a chance that the person is suffering from COVID-19 positive. Then you can go for the gold standard test, that is the RT-PCR test, and you can test yourself, and you can able to know that whether you are suffering from COVID-19 or not. So this is a preliminary test. You can do it at home. So the most important in the second wave of COVID positive is the imaging techniques, because in the RT-PCR results something takes much more time to get, and so here you have another option to know that whether your lungs is getting affected or not, okay, in a very quicker time. And otherwise, if a person is having some symptoms of COVID-19 but the RT-PCR result is negative, in that case, for a better clarity whether the person is suffering from COVID-19 or not, then you can go for a chest CT scan or a chest X-ray. So both of these results can give you a good clarity about whether you are COVID-19 positive or not. So in say CT scan, what we get is either we can able to know that what is the how much severe your lungs is affected. So as you can see in the pictures, that if the right side of the lungs, right lung, you can see this CT scan result shows that this is a less severe patient and more severity of the left lungs. So this is how you can get a CT results, and your doctor may give you a better view or a better interpretation about what type of result, what is the meaning of the CT scan, what you did. So normally in the CT scan, what we get, that is the air displacement by the fluid. The accumulated fluid which is displaced, which displaces the air, that can be detected, or it can also indicate about the airway collapse or fibrosis. And the very good thing about this CT result is this is 98% accuracy. Like RT-PCR, we are discussing about 71% accuracy. Here in CT scan, it is 98% accuracy. You can go for a chest X-ray also. As you can see the arrow marks, you can see that the lungs is affected by the COVID-19. So this is also the technique where you can get. This is also the imaging technique where you can predict that the person is having the COVID-19 positive or not. But this is from the literatures. It is highly recommended that you should not go for the CT scan, although the CT scan is 98% accuracy. So but chest X-ray can give you almost similar results of CT scans. So unless recommended by your healthcare provider or by your doctor, you should not go for more number of CT scans. Why? Because as we do more number of CT scans, the chances of development of cancer also increases. So chest X-ray is better recommended than the CT scan. So this is my opinion about if we have an option of chest X-ray, then we can go for the chest X-ray in the initial stages, unless and until it is very severe and we need to go for a CT scan. Besides this, another test is the antibody test. So antibody test, this is a very special test. Let me tell you how it is very special. So because if you have antibody test, we can perform on those people who are already suffered from COVID-19 positive. So this may happen in the recent future and in the recent past that you suffered from COVID-19, but it was asymptomatic inside you, or it was very mild, developed some mild symptom inside you, and you got recovered from the COVID-19. But if you do an antibody test and you can find the special antibodies like IgG titer or IgM titer, and you can able to know that yes, you have already been detected with COVID-19 positive. So this is a very good test to know that whether the person is suffered from COVID-19 in the recent past or not. Besides this, you can use this test to check that whether the vaccine what you have taken is working or not. Okay, and the vaccine is, if you have taken the vaccine, then whether the vaccine is produced adequate amount of antibody or not. So that can be also detected by this antibody titer test. And besides this, if you are under treatment, then you can able to know that what is the level of your body's response to neutralize the virus. So these are the basic things, basic goals, how you can able to know that your body's response towards the COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 virus. Okay, but remember one thing here, that the SARS-CoV-2 virus antibodies potency and protectiveness has not been established. Okay, what does it mean? It has not been established means if you have a antibody titer, you have a positive result in the antibody test. So this doesn't imply that you developed a immunity for any type of future infection. So future infection cannot be avoided. So you have to take all the social distancing and the preventive measures. So let me tell you, in this antibody test, we do two types of checking of two types of antibodies. One is IgM and one is IgG. IgM antibody normally develops after the infection or after the symptom. You get the symptom, then it develops after 5th day. 5th day you can detect IgM, and after 14th day of infection you can detect IgG. But IgG level always decreases after 2 to 3 months. So this is the lifespan of the IgG, you can say. So this is all about the antibody test, which is a very special test. And I told you that this is a breath test, whether this has never used in India, but there are some research groups in USA, Netherlands, Israel, UK. So they developed this particular test, which is the accuracy is good, and it detects the COVID-19 in the exhaled breath. Okay. So this is somewhat adopted in the developed countries in the early days of 2020 or the early days of COVID-19 infection. Then this is very important. Suppose a person is suffered from COVID-19, then what are the different biochemical tests they need to do, and what does that mean, and what are the different tests they need to check. And if they are in the hospital also, if there is some results, if there are some other tests are there, then how they can interpret the results. So this will be very helpful, and for any type of COVID-19 positive patients, they can imply that whether they are in high risk condition or they are in the low risk condition. So first of all, everybody knows that we need to check our SpO2 level if we are COVID-19 positive by the RT-PCR test or by CT scan or by chest X-ray, anything. So any of the testing parameters that we discussed just now. So if you are COVID-19 positive, you need to check your SpO2 level, and if the SpO2 level is always better if it is more than 95, and if it is less than 95, then you need some special precautions. You need to consult your doctor, and if it is below 90, then you need oxygen therapy and some other therapy. Later on we will discuss about that. So you need to check, in my opinion, you need to check the oximeter level in every 6 hours if you are a COVID-19 positive, 6 to 8 hours. Then you need to monitor also your BP if you have some BP problems in the past, and you need to monitor your blood glucose level if you are diabetic in nature. So besides this, there is a recommended test, that is the CBC test, that is a complete blood count test. So what major things you need to check in complete blood count? You don't have to check everything. So the major points here is the low platelet count. So if there is low platelet count, then the severity is high. Then another point is if there is the neutrophil count increases in case of COVID-19 severity, and lymphocyte count decreases. So moreover, if you take a ratio between neutrophil and lymphocyte, that we call the NLR ratio, neutrophil lymphocyte ratio, then if it increases or if it is high, that means the person is in high risk. Okay. So another test we do for this is called a coagulation cascade test, where everybody, I think from the social media and from a lot of messages you must have gone through the term called D-dimer test. So D-dimer test is also very important test. So this is a very important indicator of the disease severity. If the D-dimer level is increased and more than the reference range, so that indicates the disease severity. So besides this, there are two more coagulation cascade tests which is very important. One is PT test, one is APTT test. PT test is prothrombin time and activated prothrombin time. If the PT and APTT value also prolongs, that means the severity is high. Besides this, we have some inflammatory markers test also, like very famous also from the social media you can able to know, the CRP test. But I will suggest that along with CRP test, CRP, ESR and procalcitonin. So these three things, if they are increasing, if CRP level increases, C-reactive protein level increases, erythrocyte sedimentation rate ESR increases, then procalcitonin level increases, this indicates the disease severity. There is a biochemical test, that is lactate dehydrogenase test, that is the LDH levels. The LDH levels, as we know, that they are the markers of the lungs. They are the lungs damage. They are the especially for the lower respiratory tract damage. A marker is LDH. If the LDH levels are high than the reference range, so that indicates that your lungs is affected. So as it is higher, that means your lungs severity is high. So besides this, we have some vital organ test. You have heard that due to the multi-organ failure, the mortality rate increases and all. So for this reason, we need some blood test also in the blood or in the serum. We need to test the AST ALT level. If the AST ALT level in blood increases, that means there is a liver damage, and if creatinine and creatinine kinase level increases, so that indicates a kidney damage. So these are the very important information about the laboratory test, what type of laboratory test we have, and if we are in a hospital, without any panicness, if these tests are normal, then the disease severity is less, so we don't have to panic more. So besides this, there is a very special test called cerebrospinal fluid test. So CSF test is very special. Rarely people do this, but why will do this then? So because we know that we experience during the COVID-19, we experience headache, we experience nausea, vomiting, myalgia, dizziness, loss of smell and taste. So these things indicates that COVID-19 can cause neurotropism. So it can damage the nervous system. To check this, so of course the SARS-CoV-19 too has the ability to attack the CNS. It can damage the CNS. So to check this in the CSF, we will check two tests. We will do two tests. One is IL-8 and TNF alpha. If the IL-8 level increases and TNF alpha level increases, this indicates a disease severity and attack to the nervous system. So the SARS-CoV-2 virus has attacked to the nervous system. If these things, the IL-8 and TNF alpha level increases, that means we need to recommend to go for a MRI scan or a electroencephalography scan. We need to do it to check that how much is the damage in the central nervous system. So this is very special case and special test also. So now the COVID-19 patient, but according to the severity, we categorize them, that what are the different tests we need to conduct and what is the inference of the test, and what are the biochemical tests, and how you can know that what is the disease severity. But is there any option of treatment? Yeah, everybody knows from the social media, from the local doctors, from the COVID doctors, that yeah, there is some treatments, but we don't have a special direct treatment, but we can use some drugs for the improvement of the patient. Okay, so but remember one thing, always consult the COVID physician for any type of treatment options. So here we will discuss few treatment options, and but you need to go to consult your physician before taking any type of options. So this is based on a lot of literatures and from the what normally practice is going on in the hospitals. So we will discuss few of the options. So first we'll start with one option where we can use an antibiotic. Why will use an antibiotic? We'll use an antibiotic to overcome. If there is always in SARS-CoV-19, there is always a super infection. So to avoid any type of super infection, so of any bacteria or anything in the lungs, then we'll use the azithromycin 500 mg once daily for 5 days. Okay, then we can use an antiviral drug like Fabiflu 400 mg 17 tablets we can use. So antiviral directly as an antiviral we can use. Okay, although the effectiveness is not too direct effectiveness or too much potentiality we don't have too much of data on this, but still this gives a positive result and practiced by a lot of doctors. So besides this, we can use some multivitamins and we can use some multiminerals and multivitamins. These are the micronutrients which boost your immunity. So besides this, we can use the montelukast and levocetirizine combination. Okay, so this combination again we can use once daily, OD once daily. Vitamin C we can use. Vitamin C is very important to boost the immune system, and this is also a antioxidant, and the recommended dose of vitamin C for a human is 65 mg, 65 to 90 mg per day. So we can use for COVID-19 patients. There are some literature supports and some trials going on. They supports that 10 times of the daily recommended dose if you use, then it gives a positive response in case of COVID-19 infection. So that is something like 650 mg. So you can use once one tablet of 500 mg or two tablets of 500 mg per day, and you can use it for 15-20 days. There is no harm of this. Besides this, we can use some zinc, directly zinc. So the zinc Zinconia 50 once daily you can use for 10 days or 10 to 15 days. So why the zinc? Zinc is very important for boosting the immunity, and especially it helps us to fight against the bacteria and viral infections. Zinc is also required to activate the T lymphocytes. So what is the T lymphocytes work? So this is the natural defense of our body towards any type of virus. So that's why zinc plays a major role. So besides this, although you have some, if you have some cough symptoms, then you can use any of the cough syrups. So 2 to 3 times you can take in a day. So there is another option normally followed by a lot of physicians. So that is the ivermectin So ivermectin is very famous from the social media also. You must have known about this drug. So ivermectin you can use 12 mg once daily for 5 days. Doxycycline 100 mg twice daily. So bis per day, twice daily for 5 to 10 days you can use. Then zinc, as I discussed right now, zinconia you can use, zincona you can use. So zinc 50 mg once daily. Montecalci, this is a montelukast and levocetirizine combination you can use for the running nose and all the symptomatic relief, and so you can use it once daily. Then Dolo 650, this is paracetamol 650 mg. When you will have fever, then you can use the Dolo 650. So you can use Ondem, this is ondansetron, for if you are having vomiting sensation. When you will feel vomiting, then you will take the Ondem 4 mg. Then vitamin A to Z we can use as a supplement of the micronutrients, the multiminerals and the multivitamins. Then cough syrup, especially the ambroxol containing cough syrup. Ambroxol is the drug which is there in the cough syrup. So you can choose this type of cough syrup and you can use as and when required. Besides this, we can use vitamin D3. So vitamin D3, this is also boosts the immune system and decreases the severity of acute respiratory tract infection. So you can use 60,000 international units 3 to 7 days. Vitamin D3. Besides this, you can take for the super infection control, you can use Azithral 500 mg once daily for 5 days. So in the second wave of COVID-19, there are some other drugs also used by a lot of physicians. We can have a look on that. So like the Visolone, so Visolone 20 mg, this is a steroid. So remember, these are the drugs you can use or you can check it for your reference, for your knowledge, but without any consult to any physician or doctor, you should not use them. Okay, so Visolone, this is a steroid, so under medical supervision you can use. So this is for severe allergic reactions, to control severe allergic reactions. But this drug is highly recommended for COVID-19 patients. You can use the Ecosprin. So Ecosprin, this is an antiplatelet medication. So it can prevent the heart attack or heart stroke or chest pain during the COVID-19 infection. And for super infections, you can use the Azithral 500 mg once daily. Then Lim-C, this is the vitamin C, what you need to use and what gives really a good improvement in the COVID-19 patients. Then vitamin A to Z as a micronutrient supplementation to boost the immune system. Then Mucinex 600, Mucinex also we can use as to reduce the excessive mucus. So Mucinex is nothing but this is the acetylcysteine. This is the acetylcysteine which also boosts the immune system by acting or by activating some immune cells to fight against the disease. So Mucinex 600 mg you can use, or Dolo 650 as and when required if you are having fever. So if the SpO2 level goes below 94%, you consult immediately to your doctor or nearby hospital, and if below 90%, you need a oxygen therapy, and you have to be get ready in the hospital. You may need the following drugs. There are few drugs you may need in the hospital itself, like the Dexona, this is the dexamethasone. Remember, in the initial stages, again I am telling you that if initial stages, if you use initial infection of COVID-19 or the initial stages of COVID-19 after 5 to 6 days or within 5 to 6 days of infection, if you will use these drugs, these steroids, without consulting any physician, then this will worsen the disease. Without improving, this will worsen the disease. But this is very much helpful in hospitalized patients. The dexamethasone 6 mg for 10 days, if you use, then it decreases the mortality in the hospital patients. Okay, so this is mostly recommended for those patients who are in the supplemental oxygen or the patients are in mechanical ventilation. So besides this, the enoxaparin, so this is a drug which can reduce the cytokine storm. So this is used for the moderate to severe hospitalized patients. Then we can use a antibiotic like coamoxiclav in a very higher dose for the superinfection control. Clarithromycin as an anti-inflammatory drug also you can use, and remdesivir, which is very famous. You already know about this remdesivir, the antiviral drug. But if it is required, then we need the remdesivir in the hospital settings. So this is all about the drugs and some knowledge about the COVID-19. What are the different tests we can do? What is the meaning of the results? What are the different treatment options we are having? If we are in the hospital, then what is the treatments is going on? So this is all about this. But the most important here is is the vaccine. So I think in my next discussion, we'll have a discussion on the vaccination program, which vaccine we need to take, what is the efficacy of vaccine, how the vaccine works, and whether it can prevent us from the further infection. That we will discuss in our next. Please stay connected for our next discussion on the vaccination drive. Thank you so much.